Welcome to another edition of the Resilient Living Podcast, a show dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. So things can start getting really crazy in life. We don't know whether we're coming, going, and I think a lot of it has to do with money. And that's what I want to share with you guys today is some basic financial control and organization of that topic. Money starts to flow, and it either leaves you or it's coming in. And unfortunately, in our systems designs that we have right now in our modern day ages, I think more than ever, is that a lot of people don't understand. It's very hard to quantify, to see it, because a lot of it's like in digital form, a lot of it's on a card. So we start to spend, and without monitoring and without giving ourselves a handle on this thing, it becomes out of control. And this actually steers where our lives are going. It steers a lot of our stresses. It has so much to do with our happiness and basically the well-being of ourselves and our family. So it's very important for us to understand this. And let's kind of get into this first. So it's, as I said, a complete entire mess. It's like a dust cloud or a bunch of ships taking off in all different directions, right? The very first thing we need to do is map things out for our lives personally. And the way to do that is to step back and start monitoring. I also want to say that the subject matters, I guess why a lot of people don't do this is because it's not very sexy. It's not very attractive it's not fun, right? And a lot of it's like when you first get started, it's work. It's not like you were before where it was like, let's go buy an ice cream, let's go to the movies, we're making money, you know what, let's live for today, for tomorrow we die. Well, guess what? We're still alive. Tomorrow keeps coming and coming and coming, and sometimes things get a little harder. And really, I'd like to say if you really want to party, meaning that you just want to have a good time in life, when you have your financials in order, you have it mapped out, and you have a handle on it, the sky's the limit. When I was younger, I was a surfer, and I surfed the Guinness Book of Records, the longest wave in the Guinness Book of Records. I went to Hawaii, I don't even know how many times, surfed the best waves in the world. I was able to go snowboarding and skiing and skateboarding and all the things, fishing, all the things I loved how to do. It was right there at my fingertips because I understood, hey, if I have the money, I don't have to just sit in my little town, and utilize, enjoy the things that the town has to offer. I can actually expand globally. So it was really, really awesome. So I just want to say that, yes, it's initial work to get off the wheel, to get off away from the rat race and to unjoin what they have going on to gain control. But once you get it, it becomes effortless. And that's what I kind of want to get down today, give you guys some tools to do just that. So don't get worried, oh my God, this is a whole bunch of work. I have to take a course. It's totally simple. You can learn this in like 20 minutes. So mapping out your expenditures. Okay, so a lot of us have bills going out. We have money coming in. Let's start with that one. That one's the easiest. You get a paycheck. For those of you who work 9 to 5, you get a paycheck. So that's very fixed. That's something you could depend on and say, we'll make even numbers. You get $500 a week, right? So that's $2,000 a month. Now, we have a handle. We know this is like a gas tank. So what the biggest one, though, and even I've heard in the wealthy people section that the upper crust, if you will, a lot of them don't even track their expenses. So they kind of get themselves into some ouchies every once in a while. So we know what's coming in, and we know what the gas tank is, but we need to figure out what are all the holes, where all that gas is going. So we need to split these things into two major categories, and there's also a third that I've invented a word for. I've categorized it for myself. The first one is fixed expenses. So just like our fixed payments that are coming in, or fixed income that's coming into our bank account or our wallets, we also have fixed expenses, like rent, right? We have rent, let's just say, like where I live, you're spending about $900 a month on rent. Very low. I don't have time to go into details on it. But I know that I have $900 of rent, and it's not going to change unless they up the rent on me. Then I can easily, which they do, which is like $50. So when I am mapping out my expenses, they add $50 on. It's very easy for me to go and add in $50 and go, okay, this is now my new fixed expense. But most expenses are pretty fixed, like say your cell phone bill. If you're on a plan like I am, unlimited, you know that it's a certain amount every single day. Now, hopefully you guys get the gist of this. This is what you're going to do is take down a list and you're going to write all of these things down. It's like an audit for yourself. And trust me, yes, audits are not very sexy, not very fun, but once you get the handle on it, anything new that comes and everything's already compiled and written down, you can easily add these things in. So a lot of fixed expenses, I hope you understand then, is like anything you're renting, say your cable, your internet, your phone, all of those things are pretty much foreseeable. Now you're going to write all of these under a list of fixed expenses. Our next is variable expenses. Variable expenses are things like gas, right? Things like electricity, groceries. We never know what's going on. We will get a handle on this once we see it, how much we're spending. But usually these things fluctuate all the time. So these are called our variables. You just never know what they're going to do until you take control. So on that end, that's what we're going to write down is a lot of our variable expenses. A list of my variable expenses, like I said, is gas, electric, propane, groceries, a lot of things like that. I guess I don't want to sit here and waste your time giving you all of mine. And everybody's lives are different. That's the difficult part is I tried to organize this thing and say, well, how can I help each individual? It's impossible. Everybody has different things that are going on. Okay, so we got the variable expenses. This is going to take time. The best advice I can give you guys is to go to your bank account. And most of us have been using our DBT cards, I almost said EBT, our DBT cards, our credit cards and things like that. You can kind of map down through that where everything's going and just kind of give yourself a list off of that. If you can't figure out things such as groceries and things like that, that's when we're going to start auditing. We're going to start adding these things up. So now that we have fixed and we have variables understood, hopefully, the next one is what I'm going to call ghost expenses. So this is why you need to get a handle on the variable and the fixed expenses, because you'll have things that are going to come and hit you in life, right? And this is one of the major stresses I see people go, oh, there's always something, just when you got it, whether you own a house or you own a tiny house like me or you own a vehicle, Vehicle is a really, really good one as far as explaining what a ghost expense is. That's like your tires. A lot of people don't get out, rotate their tires. They don't even really inspect them, I don't think, until they have a blowout. And then they're like, oh, wow, right? Or they're just completely bald. That's time to replace them. So these are expenses that are happening for the majority of us where we're not paying attention. I think a better one could be is like a serpentine belt or a gas line that's inside your vehicle. You can't see it. It's very difficult to monitor everything going on in your car. But slowly one day, which I brought this up because it happened to me, my gas line busted and I had gas shooting all over my motor. I was stuck. This is a ghost expense. Now I have to tow my car because I don't know how to fix that. I've got to pay a mechanic to do the repairs and everything, and that cost me a couple $100. And I want you guys to see this example of what could happen to you. You can get hurt and have to take time off work. Right? This is a ghost occurrence, maybe, right? Things that you didn't plan for. So these are things that once you get the variable and the fixed expenses and everything under control, and you actually start to save money. And when you have a flat tire or a gas line bust in your car, or maybe on your home you get a roof leak if you own your home, or you own a tiny house or an RV or something, wherever you're living, all of these things can happen. And that's why we need to prepare for them. So as they do come, we're ready and we have the funds to deal with them. That lowers people a lot of stress. Now, I would like to say how people say money doesn't buy happiness and all this. You know what? It doesn't really buy happiness. But you know what it does buy is peace of mind. And I would say when you have things covered like I do, I've got things so far covered, guys, with this weird day and age. It's, second week of November here, 2021. I went in to check on some tires. I had a flat tire on one of my trailers for the business that I run. And they said it would be a few weeks out. And I says, ooh, supply chain shortages. So I says, just off the, for poops and giggles, how long before I get tires for my truck? Because they are starting to wear out a little bit. And they were like, oh, it could take, a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. We don't know at the time. Just keep checking in with us. I says, well, if you can get me these, set, a brand new set, what I have on now, how long? They're like, well, we can get those in 2 weeks, right? But anything else, we'd have to, it's kind of a guesstimate. So I just went ahead because I have the funds. I bought new tires for my entire truck, even though I don't need them. I bought entire new tires for my whole trailer, even though I don't need them. I bought new tires for my other trailer, even though I don't need those. I actually went and bought tennis shoes and all kinds of things that actually I would like to do a show on investing for middle class to upper class people, like talking about what I'm doing right now. I have the money that's depreciating from inflation and things, but I've actually went and purchased things. And since I've purchased those things, the price of those things have gone up. So the point I wanted to make here is that when you get into this area of I own my own business too, by the way, but when you get in this area with the money to be able to leverage, right? You have working capital basically in your life, and it doesn't matter whether you own a business or you don't. Your life is kind of like a business. If you don't treat it that way, you just fall through the cracks. That tire blows out in your car and you can't make it to work. And it goes on and on and on for a few weeks. It's only logical that your boss would want to hire somebody else to replace you because you're just not there and you don't have the money to fix your car to get there, right? So it buys you time, it buys you peace of mind, and I think that it makes life actually really happy just because of the mindset that you have. So I wanted to stress that. Okay, so how to budget. Once we get all these things fixed out, right? Once we get them all handled, once we get them all and we have it mapped out, as we said, we want to figure out how to budget. So how do we budget? And I want to say the biggest ones, the strongest one that I use and the most easiest, not very hard to learn, is Apple's numbers because I have an iPhone. You could get Excel numbers if you have an iPhone too, and you get Excel if you have a Samsung or anything else. You can get Excel numbers or Apple's numbers. They're both the same thing. So what happens with this as I track my expenses is very easy. So I don't even need to really put fixed or variables on the app, on the Apple's numbers. All I do is start putting like groceries, everything I explained to you guys about. Once you get the app and you set it up, that's like your map. So every time I go spend something, whether it's cash or a card, I notice that water, drinking water, that's an expense. I'll write down drinking water. It's a word. It's all these cells. It's like a list of lined paper, right? But it's digital, so you don't have to erase, and it adds everything up for you. So on the left-hand side, it has a box, and I'll enter in drinking water. I refill my bottles. For those of you who the Resilient Podcaster, we try to do everything green and good for the planet. So I refill my glass bottles, and I mark that down every single time, even if this is one thing actually I want to say too, is a lot of people look and say, well, laundry was only $3 to do. No, write that down. Every little penny counts. You can get turn these things into fixed things. Like me, with my laundry, I'll do them once a week because I live simple, I live tiny, minimalistic, so it's very easy for me to say, well, $3 a week for laundry. That's all I need. So yeah, as I go to spend things, whether it's on the phone, like Amazon's another one that's quickly easy where you just forget to write it down, categorize that. What category does it fall under? Does it fall under clothes? Does it fall under materials? Does it fall under food? So mine will be like drinking water, as I said, laundry. Groceries is like the biggest one. So every time I go to the grocery store, right next to groceries, I will actually punch in my number and whatever that grocery expenditure is. So as I'm waiting in line, as you have the app, just open up the app, press on the cell. There's a little square next to where it says groceries. Open that up, press on that button. It's going to highlight, and then all you have to do is enter a number, right? Once you get your cash ready, so you set your phone next to your wallet. Once they ring you up, you got all your groceries. Before you even pay, look at the amount, punch it into your phone. It takes like a second. And what's nice about this, let's say you have groceries, and as you keep lining up numbers in the cells from top to bottom, as you add a number under the category of groceries, it automatically adds it up for you. So I hope you guys understand this, how The fixed expenses and things can actually be separated, probably a little bit better organized if you put them maybe in a different area. I mean, you don't really have to, but as you start spending that money, you will start to find where all that's going. It'll start to map it out now using Apple's numbers or Excel spreadsheet. So gas is another one. That's what when I first started out, that's what I did. I just started everything I spent. When I went to fill up my gas tank, I was like, oh my God, I didn't think about gas. So we add in gas. Every time I get gas, very simple as well. I have my cell phone ready. As soon as the tank's full, I take everything out, seal up my tank. I look at the price. It takes 1 second, write it in. As soon as you enter that number and push enter, it automatically adds up the number at the far bottom. So now as you're progressing through time, you can actually see in real time how much money you're spending. So let me explain a little bit about Apple's numbers here. I wish we had more time. I could go total detail. So let's just say you have groceries, right, on a list. Now, every time you bought those groceries, those numbers are adding up from top to bottom. Well, you want to give yourself, say, about 20 lines, 20 cells, 20 spaces below that grocery one, so that every time you're buying groceries, it's adding it up at the last bottom cell. What you do is you click on that cell and it'll highlight it. There'll be 3 little knobs, right, where you can highlight the whole entire cell. Well, you go down, even though they're blank, right? You go down all the way, you leave one at the end, and then you just push sum. And that will automatically, that programs that app to every time you enter something in there, it automatically adds it up. So you don't have to do anything else, in the future. And you can do a template, which is really cool, and keep these things. And you can mark them, say, what are we in right now? November. You could put November, NOV 21, I think is what I do, OCT 21. So I know that month and everything what's going on. So I buy my groceries, I get my gas, and I've got all of these just going from top to bottom, all adding up. Top to bottom. At the last cell, if you make all of these numbers line on the same bottom line where everything's added up, on the far right, if you do the same, if you click those cells and highlight them and slide your cursor all the way down to the right, leaving one last cell, and push sum, now you can see it's adding everything from the top down. It's also adding everything from the left to the right. So the left to the right number on the far right-hand corner is your big number. So let's go back. If you're making $2,000 a month, you're sitting there and you're every week, if you start this at the first, as you buy your groceries, as you buy lunch, your coffees, whatever, your gases, you can start to see that number on the right start to add up to, sometimes it's happened to me where I was like, whoa, we're only in the second week of the month and I'm already at $1,500, right? I mean, I make a little bit more than that, but you start to see where you're in the red. Now, this is what's going to map out your life. This is what's going to help you get financial control, and therefore you can start to tune things out and go, wow. Now, what do I need to do now? I need to back off on, what's cool about this is you can actually look and say, well, where's the fat? Now it's presented to you. Now, and it's nobody beating you up. It's yourself beating you up. You can look and go, holy crap, I've spent $90 on coffee so far? That's an expenditure I need to get rid of. I can't afford to do this. So you could start to see where your lunch is and where all the things are starting to happen. Now you're able to sit there like a master of your life, a designer of your life, and say, oh, okay, now I need to back off on this and a little more of that. And then once you start progressing and able to save money, I think you can see such things as, let's take the coffee factor. Well, I love coffee. I don't want to quit coffee. But I love a very tasteful coffee. Well, you can get yourself an espresso machine. You can save up and buy one and keep it at your house and make your own coffee every morning. And you can actually look at this now like your life like a business and say, wow, maybe I spent $150 on an espresso machine. It's very important for some reason to me. I'm just making stuff up. But you can look and say, wow, it actually has paid itself off in a year. Now it's like I'm getting my coffee for 80% off. It's literally paid for itself. Right? And so you can start to get these things in order and you can start to help your life out and really make a big difference. So guys, we're doing the show in 20-minute intervals, very short. Usually I'm driving to work. We're going to try to do at least Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We're going to try to do 5 a week. But so I just wanted to let you guys know what you can expect with the show here. So guys, I will see you on the next. And here's to getting your life together and your financial goals, your financial freedom, And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Talk to you guys on the next show.